Absolutely. It's the West Midlands Football Podcast here on this Sunday evening across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can have your say as well. Got a couple of comments coming here, which is great. West Brom Fan TV.
Yeah,
said hello, Jonathan,
it's,
up the Albion.
It's Connor. I speak to him a lot. So, yeah, welcome, Connor. Welcome, Connor.
Connor, welcome along. We're coming to you a lot now as we're still in the Championship. Final day of the season, 4-0 victory against Barnsley. It's nice to win, obviously, but it's against a team that sort of finished rock bottom. Could have been 5-0. Carl Grant missed a penalty, having scored one earlier in the game. But we talked about sort of the issues going on with West Brom for weeks, sort of on end, not just on this podcast, but on the National Box to Box podcast as well. So what I'm going to do, Jonathan, I'm going to put you in the shoes of Steve Bruce, right?
Right.
And I'm going to go through the squad at West Bromwich Albion, and we'll do this as quickly as possible. Forget money, okay? Money's not the issue. It's just a case of who you kind of want in your squad for next season. So right now, I've got a list of the players who are out of contract as of June 30th. Effectively, well, from May 31st, Matt Clark is out of contract. So, but we'll come to him in just a moment. So, let go or offer a new deal first of all. So, Sam Johnston,
let go because he's already, I think, in the line for Spurs. So I think he's likely to be going to Spurs. There's probably nothing that Albion can do about it. So Sam Johnston, let go. And David Button has been doing well in his place anyway, so I would let Sam Johnston go.
Okay, we just mentioned him. Matt Clark.
Matt Clark, I'd keep. I'd offer a new deal. He did phenomenally well yesterday. Man of the match for me. And he was also the supporters' player of the season for the Albion. So yeah, I'd keep Matt Clark.
Okay, right. Andy Carroll, we know because it was announced he is being let go, and you've kind of already answered the question because the other player that's out of contract on the 30th of June is David Button.
Yeah, I'd keep David Button.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So players who are out of contract at the end of the 2022-23 season, which means that if you were to move them on now, you could get a fee for them, whether it's a case of trying to make money or not, or do you keep them and just let the contracts run out? So, first of all, Semi Ajayi.
Semi Ajayi, I'd keep. To be honest, he's been, aside from Matt Clark, he's been one of the better defenders comparatively to the likes of Carl Bartley and other defenders. He has made some mistakes, some misplaced passes, but in the overall context of things, I'd keep Semi Ajayi.
Dara O'Shea.
Dara O'Shea. Now, he hasn't had much game time this season, because of the injury he suffered against Portugal. So he's been out for quite a chunk of the season. So he might not have been match fit completely all season, but yeah, I'd actually take a chance on Dara O'Shea, to be honest.
Right, next two are interesting. Kyle Bartley.
Kyle Bartley, I'll let go.
Do you think you get a fee for him? This is why it's interesting, because he's now 30 years old.
Yeah.
And do you see? Obviously, he's not going to go to the Premier League, but do you see Championship clubs lining up to take Kyle Bartley now for a fee?
I would honestly see the likes of Cardiff taking him, to be honest.
Right.
Similar
now, Jake Livermore.
Yeah. Jake Livermore,
Jake Livermore.
Yeah, he's our captain. It's a bit of a weird one, but in the context of things, there's been a few red cards this season. His discipline's not exactly been there, so it might be controversial. Not all Albion fans might agree with me, but I'd let Jake Livermore go. Honestly,
interesting as well. If Jake Livermore were to stay.
Yeah.
If Jake Livermore were to stay, though, would Steve Bruce take the club captaincy off him, given the disciplinary problems? Because Steve Bruce had just come in, so he might reset it all.
He's been given a number of red cards this season, put us on the back foot, and where we really should have been, collecting points and winning games. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough one with Jake Livermore, with the fact he's the club captain, but all those red cards.
Okay, player I'm not too familiar with, Keane Bryan, defender.
Keane Bryan, he hasn't had a lot of game time, so I'm not too sure. I would probably give him a chance, give him a run in the first team, but I haven't seen a lot of him, to be honest.
Okay, 25 years old, so in the prime of his career, so he probably does need a, if you're letting players like Semi Ajayi go, then he'd probably be one that would probably come in.
Yeah.
Kenneth Zohore.
Kenneth Zohore, again, haven't seen a lot of him, and the games that I have seen him, as a striker, he's supposed to be like an impact player, and he's been overshadowed in a way by Grant Robinson and even Andy Carroll. So I'm not too sure about Kenneth Zohore. I'd probably let him go, to be honest.
And another goalkeeper, Alex Palmer, who presumably, if you're letting Sam Johnston go and you're promoting David Button up to number 1, he would be your number 2. So
he would be number 2. He's been on the bench a number of times. Yeah. So I'd keep Alex
just
Palmer.
One more with these. Okay, one more set with these. The players whose contracts are up in 2024. So you could get all of next season with them and then move them on, or you could move them on now. Poor lad. Alex Mowat.
Oh boy, Alex Mowat. He's had his moments, like the goal against Cardiff, the 30-yarder. But then, there's been games where he hasn't had much of an impact. But, I would probably keep Alex Mowat, give him like next season and then see where we go, for the season after. So I'd probably keep him for now.
Scorer of the second goal on Saturday, I think, against Barnsley, Adam Reach.
Well, I was there for the game, and that was absolute Route 1 football. I would keep Adam Reach, because it's his first goal for the Albion. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more. He just needs to get a little bit more control on the ball at times. There was a few times this season where he let the ball get away from him, or he was easily tackled. But that goal against Barnsley on Saturday, it didn't hurt his cause, to be honest, and it was a great goal. It was probably the pick of the 4 for me, to be honest. So I'd keep Adam Reach. Cedric
Kipre.
Kipre's a bit of a tough one. He's been a bench warmer as of late, to be honest. So it'll be great as backup, but at the moment, nothing more. Probably keep him just as backup in case of injuries.
Okay, young lad here, Ryan Tulloch. He could be on the fringes of making the first team as a striker, perhaps.
Yeah, I would give him a run out, especially with us losing Andy Carroll. I would definitely see what Tulloch can do. He has had a couple of cup games for us, and he did well. They were both against Premier League opposition, Arsenal in the Carabao Cup and Brighton in the FA Cup, and he did really well with those. So yeah, at the moment he's just a cup player for the Albion, but with a club like Albion, there's not many cup games, so I'd give him a run out in the first team, to be honest.
And 19-year-old centre half Caleb Taylor.
Yeah, Caleb Taylor. He's he's been on the bench as of late. Hasn't had a proper run out in the first team. So yeah, I'd give Caleb Taylor a chance. Keep him.
Now this is interesting, right? This is why I've left this one till last. For the players who've got 2024, so 2 years left on a contract at the current age of 31. Matt Phillips. Now, who drew that contract up, right? Who is giving somebody on Premier League money tied down to a contract that pretty much for this season and the next 2 seasons, having coming down last season, will wipe out the parachute payments, which we talked about on the Box to Box podcast. Matt Phillips, decent player in the Championship, getting on in age. That's ridiculous business, John. I'm sorry. That's just...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
to me,
sure.
that's clueless.
Yeah, not sure who did it for that length. I mean, Matt Phillips, he's still a good player. He's still got a little bit of pace, but as you said, age is against him. But yeah, I'd see what happens next season with Matt Phillips, and then if it's not good enough, then move him on like at the end of next season. But he's been at Albion for quite some time now, so yeah.
Yeah, and again, there are 4 players who are contracted up to 2025, right? Grady Diangana, Callum Robinson, Darnell Furlong, and Connor Townsend. These are regular first-team players of a team which largely anybody who talks about West Bromwich Albion agrees needs completely freshing up.
Yeah.
3 years these players are tied down for. And market value, according to the website transfermarket.co.uk, has Grady Diangana at 7.2 million, Callum Robinson at 5.4 million, 4.5 million Darnell Furlong, and 2.25 million Connor Townsend. So I don't know. Again, Steve Bruce has got to look at this.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce has got to look at this, and he's got to assess it. You know, if obviously you can't get rid of everybody, and it does need it does need refreshing and stuff like that. And maybe with a sort of a good look at them in a decent preseason, he can have a look.
Yeah.
But
I like Furlong and Townsend though. I mean, you know, we had all that reputation of being a long throw specialist, especially at the start of the season. The whole tailgate thing, you know, and it was funny to us because, you know, every other team in the Championship was like, you know, they're using a towel, they're drying the ball, they're launching it, and they're scoring against us. Well, you know, that's football. We try every trick in the book, to be honest. But yeah, I like the way Darnell and Connor, you know, play for the Albion. So I would honestly keep those two. In terms of Grady Diangana, Callum Robinson, I mean, Callum Robinson has been getting a lot of stick off the fans lately, like pulling out of challenges where he was more likely to get the ball, you know, and it's basically, so he has had a bit of stick for that. I mean, when we got promoted to the Premier League 2 seasons ago, he was literally the first one that celebrated with fans, even though it was in the middle of COVID. But yeah, I mean, he just needs to, you know, make better use of his game, so to speak. So Callum Robinson's a difficult one. There's Albion fans who still like him. There's Albion fans who are saying get him out. So Callum Robinson is 50-50. As with Grady Diangana, you know, he was great when he came from West Ham. Even the West Ham fans weren't happy when they sold him to us. I believe, if I remember rightly, their club captain, Mark Noble, had a bit of a opinion on it. But in the long term, I mean, he's had injuries, so I'm not too sure. You know, he's just getting back to fitness. To be honest, he did pretty decent for us yesterday against Barnsley. So again, you know, I'd keep Furlong, I'd keep Townsend, and it's 50-50 with Callum Robinson and Grady Diangana, to be honest.
Overall, looking at the season, assessing it all like we did with Kim talking about Blues a little while ago, you obviously can't be satisfied with the campaign.
No, I've gone into loads of fan interviews this weekend and podcasts, and it's basically the common theme is describe your season in 1 sentence, and all I've said are 3 words: could do better. You know, it's we finished 10th on 67 points. We're like 7 points off the playoffs, 7 points off Luton.
Yeah,
and you know, for a team like us to be beaten in the season overall by a team like Luton, no disrespect to them, is pretty embarrassing. I mean, we've even got Millwall finishing ahead of us. And again, no disrespect to Millwall, but that's pretty embarrassing for a club like West Bromwich Albion. It's our lowest league finish for as far as I can remember, to be honest. So yeah, it is for a team that was expected to be right in the mix with promotion, automatic or playoffs, to finish 10th is a bit of an embarrassment for West Bromwich Albion, to be honest.
So depending on what happens over the summer, you're looking at least the playoffs again next season. That should be the end. Or should you be looking at automatic?
To be honest, as Albion fans, we're expecting at least the playoffs. To be honest, it's we're expecting a top 6 finish next season. I mean, Steve Bruce has already identified targets. Can't remember what those targets are at the moment. I think there's a couple from Blackburn, I believe he's looking at. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I mean, I've been speaking to a lot of Albion fans this weekend, both at the Hawthorns and away from the stadium. And it's a case of next season, we must finish top 6. If we don't finish top 6 next season, then we're staring down the barrel of a Leeds situation where we didn't get promoted for like 16 years.
Does the style of football matter next season, or just get there?
Just get there, to be honest. Just get results, beat teams that on paper we should be beating, because that's been a lot of our problem this season. We've been beaten by the likes of Luton, by the likes of Millwall, by the likes of Preston. Teams that we should be beating, they were beating us 2-0. And that was the scoreline in every one of those games at the Hawthorns. And even the 0-0 draw the other week against Coventry, we really should be beating Coventry. And again, that's no disrespect to Coventry, but there wasn't enough of that happening this season, of teams that on paper we should be stronger against. We just weren't beating.
It's the West Midlands Football Podcast here on this Sunday evening, looking back at the weekend's action. The regular season is done and dusted in the Championship. We're moving up into the